Welcome to Court Helicopter Trending Issues. Today we are looking at the unfortunate death of the former Zambian president, Edgar Lungu, in South Africa. Edgar Lungu left office some time ago. He went to South Africa where he was getting his treatment as a retired head of state, and he died. It is 1 year, beyond 1 year, before the head of state of Zambia is laid to rest. The dispute pits the government of Zambia working together with the government of South Africa against the family. The family went to court saying that they want Lungu to be buried in South Africa. The Zambian government approached the government of South Africa. This is a former head of state. He's a symbol of national unity. He can't be buried outside. Lungu represents the sovereignty of the people. Can you imagine if Jomo Kenyatta was buried in another country? If Daniel Moi, the late president, or Mwai Kibaki, or when President Uhuru Kenyatta's time comes and he dies, or President William Ruto dies, can he be buried out of this country to another country? Those are the arguments that are there. Currently, the case went to the High Court. The High Court allowed the Zambian government to take the body. The matter was appealed to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal released the body to the government of Zambia. And the government of Zambia, in cohort with the government of South Africa, moved to the funeral called Mountain View, picked the body, did a post-mortem, and left with the body. At that time, the lawyers of the family rushed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court of South Africa has ordered the body to be returned to the mortuary. Questions that are there: is the body still in South Africa? By the time the order was being served, the body had already left the mortuary. Could the South African government and the Zambian government have siphoned the body back to Zambia so that the burial preparations could be there? If the body is in Zambia, does the South African order from the Supreme Court have legal efficacy because of the territorial jurisprudence? I doubt. We are yet to see what is happening. So this question about the tussle between the president, the retired president, and the families, is it a new thing that we are seeing? It is not a new thing. This is a case that happened in Angola, when the president of Angola, President Jose Eduardo dos Santos, died in Spain. His wife and family fought with the state, and they did not want dos Santos to be brought back to Angola to be buried. The end result, the state won because this is the head of state. He chose to be the head of state, and therefore he was brought back. In 2019, a similar fight happened in Zambia again, where Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, remember this is the age mate of President, the late Jomo Kenyatta, won. They are the freedom fighters who fought to get independence to South Africa. When he died, he had wished to be buried next to his wife, but the battle was so tough and the state won. Kenneth Kaunda is buried at what is called the Embassy Park, equally where all presidents of Zambia should be buried, and that is where Lungu, according to the government of Zambia, he needs to be buried. The third war is in Ghana. The also founding father, the first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, very serious scholar, a very serious Pan-African. When he died, a battle arose. This is the only president who has been buried 3 times. The first time, he died in Romania. He was brought to by his family and buried in Conakry, Guinea. The second time, he was removed from there and brought to Ghana. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was buried in his Nkolofu village. Later, public petition and pressure, he was brought to Ankara, where he was buried in the state burial, where all Ghanaian presidents are supposed to be buried. The family lost. The second president of Ghana, that is President John Evans Atta Mills, who died in 2012, a tussle was there between his family and the state, and the state succeeded to bury him at the state burial. The third president of Ghana who has faced a similar issue is Jerry Rawlings. Remember, Jerry Rawlings became a president. He left being a president. He came back and became a president, and later he left office and died. What is the battle between Jerry Rawlings? The battle was the family didn't want him buried in the military cemetery in Ghana. Him as a former military officer, as a CDF, as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, the government won, and he was buried in the cemetery, the military cemetery. Those are some of the issues that we have brought to you. What is great importance of this story? If you look at how state burials are conducted, the state takes over, the military takes over, the family only lays the wreath of flower. It is a state burial. Therefore, what is the role of the family? When you become a head of state, you lose the touch to your family. The state becomes bigger. You become the commander-in-chief. You carry the sovereignty of 55 million Kenyans. You are a public property. And that is why the public have a right to bury you. You have outgrown your family. So, and that is why in all these cases, families that have tried to fight, they have lost. Tell your man, tell your husband, let him not go to be a president. Tell your lady, your wife, let her not go to be a president. Once you are a president, a commander-in-chief, the head of government, the head of state, you are the property of the state. If you look at, if the president is shot dead, as it happened in Burundi, the country completely goes to the dogs. If it's not about a wife, it's not about a father, he is the head of state, the symbol of national unity. And that is why anybody fighting for bringing back these people, the Jomo Kenyatta family understood it very well, that Jomo Kenyatta won. And we are not talking about the fake Jomo Kenyatta who was on the streets yesterday. We are talking of His Excellency, the first president of the Republic of Kenya, who lowered the European flag down at Uhuru Gardens and raised the flag of Kenya at Mount Kenya. So the question is, if today the Uhuru Kenyatta family, if today Mama Ngina walks and says he wants the body of his husband, Uhuru Kenyatta says, I want the body of my father to be taken to Ishaweri in Gatundu, is there any law putting this place? Court Helicopter has looked into the law, and we find that there is no law about burial of our leaders. Remember, we have the Uhuru Gardens. That should be, according to Court Helicopter, we should make a law, and somebody should go to court and make a law so that the heads of state are buried at Uhuru Gardens. What is the importance? Today, Daniel Arap Moi is the property of the family. Kenyans cannot go to Kabarnet. They can't go to Kabarak to pay homage to their leader. President, the late Kibaki, the third president of the Republic of Kenya, is lying at Othaya. Can you go there as a national mausoleum? You can't go there. Jomo Kenyatta, one, the president of the Republic of Kenya, is buried at Parliament buildings. Is there a law that deals with the burial of President Jomo Kenyatta in 1978 at Parliament buildings? There is no law. It was a cabinet resolution. Remember when Jomo died in Mombasa, under the law then, the vice president, Daniel Arap Moi, took over the reins and became the acting president for 90 days. Cabinet sat and made a decision to bury Jomo Kenyatta at the mausoleum. So, Court Helicopter has looked and Parliament, we are urging Parliament to enact the law because heads of state supersede them being the property of the family. Let us build a law that if you become a head of state, you could be buried there. Today, Baba Raila Amolo Odinga died. If Baba Raila Amolo Odinga died, he was supposed to be buried at Uhuru Gardens. Today, he's buried at Siaya in his place. How many Kenyans can afford to go to lay wreaths of flowers there? Court Helicopter gives a bab to the legislature that we need to make a law to allow exhumation of all those people to be brought to Uhuru Gardens so that, one, it becomes a national statue. The history of our generation, the Gen Z, will never know who Daniel Arap Moi was. They never know who Kibaki was. Wakili, Dan and Omari, keep watching. This weekend, we are dealing with issues about deaths and burials. Asante.